Good morning, boys and girls. This morning I'm going to read a book called Daisy Head Mayzie, and it's by Dr. Seuss. So guess what kind of book I bet it's going to be? I bet it's going to be a rhyming book. It's hard to believe such a thing could be true, and I hope such a thing never happens to you. But it happens, they say, to poor Mayzie McGrew. It happens like this. Push in on those words so you guys can look at those, because I understand some of you like to read. Try to read the words. She was sitting one day at her desk in her school in her usual way when she felt a small twitch on the top of her head. So Mayzie looked up and she almost dropped dead. Something peculiar was going on there. A daisy was sprouting right out of her hair. I'm going to pull back so you guys can see the picture. Oh my goodness. Behind her was sitting a young Herman Butch Strudel. Looks like a daisy up here on her noodle. It doesn't make sense why it couldn't be so. A noodle's no place for a daisy to grow. Then up spoke another boy, Einstein Van Tass, the brightest young man in the whole of the class. It's a very odd place to be sprouting a daisy, but nevertheless, one is growing on Mayzie. Hey, look it, cried Butch. Right here in this room, Daisy Head Mayzie. She's bursting to bloom. Miss Sneecher, the teacher, came rushing up quick. Such nonsense! Some child here's playing a trick. Which one of you boys stuck that thing in her hair? You know that a daisy could never grow there. But teacher, said Butch, I saw the thing rise right out of her head with my own very eyes. Just give it a yank if you think I tell lies. But Mrs. Sneecher had heard quite enough of this talk. Mayzie, hold still. Let me get that stalk. Ouch, hollered Mayzie. Quit yanking, Butch said. You're giving her pains. I'll bet those roots go way down into her brains. The kids in the class started shouting like crazy. Daisy Head, Daisy Head, Daisy Head Mayzie. Children, be quiet. Good grief and alas. Miss Sneecher was shocked by the noise in her class. I've taught in this room 20 years, maybe more, but I've never seen anything like this before. I'll have to report it. You just have to come to the principal's office to show Mr. Grum. There's the picture. There's the words. Now the principal, good Mr. Gregory Grum, was a very wise man, just as smart as they come. He knew more than anyone in this nation about long division and multiplication. He knew all the answers, why oceans are deep, why skies are so high, and why mountains are steep. He should have the answer to this thing on Mayzie. My word, he declared, it's a genuine daisy. I've seen them quite often in fields growing wild, but never before on the head of a child. Now what in the world ever made this thing sprout? I have no idea, but I'm going to find out. He has a lot of books. It says daisies grow on the land. They grow between rocks. They grow also in sand. It mentions right here they can grow in a pot, but mentions the head of a girl. It does not. Daisy, it says, sometimes grow in Alaska, also Missouri, Rhode Island, Nebraska. They grow in Japan and in Spain and Peru, in India, France, and Idaho too. They grow in South Boston and also in Rome, but why should they grow on the little girl's dome? See, look it, said Mayzie. It's wilting, it's drooping, how wonderful. Oh, how wonderful, Mayzie. It soon will be dead. You'll be rid of that daisy. In just a few minutes, our troubles will pass, declared Mr. Grum. Take her back to class. Then the principal saw the most terrible sight. The daisy was dying, and that was all right. But that daisy was part of poor Mayzie McGrew, and Mayzie started to wilt away too. Teacher, said... Oh, sorry, wrong person. Teacher, said Grum, you know what I think. They're both going to die. Hurry, bring them a drink. That Daisy, that girl's worst problem in town. You take her away and you make her lie down. You lock her up tight in that room down the hall. There are quite a few numbers that I've got to call. I like how they pour water right on her head. Poor Mayzie, her hair looked all sassy and now it doesn't. Get Maisie's parents on the end of the line. I need them here quickly while there's still time. On the phone, Maisie's mom said, What's all the fuss? Then goodness to Betsy, I'll catch the next bus. A call to the shoe store reached Mr. McGrew. He answered while holding a customer's shoe. Yes, this is. Oh no, I really must go. A doctor should see her, the principal said, an expert on plants like the one on her head. So he called Dr. Eisenbart, who said, What a trick! My stethoscope's packed. I'll be there in a tick. Wait, Doc, said his patient. I'll come along too. My brother's a vet. He knows this McGrew. When he heard Finch the florist grabbed for his shears, I'll be there just as soon as my truck can shift gears. They're going to have the whole town there. They should hang up their phones. They're going to pull those cords, crazy guys. Meanwhile, poor Mayzie lay down on a couch. The daisy slumped down on its leaves in a slouch. But the window was open because it was warm, and the sweet-smelling daisy attracted a swarm of bees. Bees? Bees? Oh! And then there's where it says bees. And up there it says buzz. Sorry, my nose is itchy. The faster she ran, the faster they flew, so Mayzie kept running. What else could she do? She attempted to hide behind Officer Thatcher, who cupped out his hat like a bumblebee catcher. The bee took his hat. Thatcher said, I'm no fool, and ran after Mayzie back to the school. And there's Officer Thatcher catching all those bees. Principal Grum didn't know what to do. It's worse, cried Miss Sneecher, much worse than we feared. The Daisy and Mayzie have both disappeared. Behind her came charging Mr. McGrew, chased by customers chasing his shoe. Finch the florist, Dr. Eisenberg too, Dr. Eisenberg's patient, and Mrs. McGrew. Then through the window with Officer Thatcher, who slammed the pane shut so the bees couldn't catch her, jumped Mayzie McGrew to the floor with a splatter, with Daisy still there, except taller and fatter. Uh-oh. It's getting bigger. Poor little daughter, the Daisy. It's true, I'm going to faint, cried Mrs. McGrew. Tut, tut, said the florist. There's no need for tears. Just because there's a daisy between her two ears, I'll snip it right off with my sharp pruning shears. She's my patient. Don't touch her. You must stand apart. We have to have room, said Dr. Eisenbart. I think that Mayzie and her plant could help me get the research grant. This could be dangerous, boys and girls. Wondering what's going to happen. The door opened wide and Mayor stepped inside. At a meeting and greeting, there was none to compare. He was the best at long speeches, chock full of hot air. I promised my friends that if I'm reelected, this daisy on Mayzie will be disconnected. The law of our fathers is simple and sound. Daisies belong and should stay in the ground. The rest are illegal. We'll bar them from town. Seems silly. From the back came a voice, something loud, something slick, of wheeler and dealer who knew every trick. I'm Finagle the agent. You've heard of me, I'm sure. I'll represent young What's-His-Name and others now on tour. But Mayzie, you're so special. Please let me shake your hand. Your talent is a wondrous thing, unique in all the land. Daisy Head Mayzie, spelled out in bright lights, will draw kids in day and parents at night. Daisy Head Mayzie, you've got quite an act. Just stick with me, kid, and I'll sign this contract. Your flower needs to sign too. Sounds like a trickster to me. Her mother said, Mayzie, don't be a fool, and the principal begged her not to leave school, but Mayzie didn't stop to blink. She signed her name to think-proof ink, and Daisy signed too. Daisy Head fever was gripping the nation. It had quickly become the worldwide sensation. Oh my gosh, wait till you see this picture. It's so funny. So she signed the contract, and a contract is just something that you promise to do. And look, everybody's wearing daisies in their head, like Daisy Head Mayzie. Daisy had burgers and Daisy had drinks. Daisy had stockings and Daisy had sinks. Daisy had buttons and Daisy had bows. Mayzie was famous, the star of her shows. Fame had knocked on Maisie's door. Now she had it all and more. Piles of money stacked on tins. But what is money without friends? A dream had led her far astray. That was the price she had to pay. Now Mayzie McGrew ran night and day, nowhere to go, nowhere to stay. Because she was sure everyone must have written her off in total disgust. Over and over again in her head, these are the words that poor Mayzie said. I can never go home. Nobody loves me. Nobody loves me. Nobody loves me. Nobody loved her? Poor Mayzie McGrew. It's hard to believe such a thing could be true, and maybe that's why then this daisy above, when Mayzie below began to take talking of love, well, you know about daisies. When love is in doubt, the job of a daisy is try to find out. They love her not, they love her, they love her not. So have you guys ever played that? You pick a flower and then you pull off each petal and you go, he loves me not. When I was a little girl, we used to do that when we thought a boy liked us. Don't worry, Mayzie, they love you. They love me? Well, that's how it all happened. The thing went away, and Mayzie McGrew is quite happy today, back at her studies and doing great in all of her subjects in room number 8. And concerning that daisy, you know that it's never grew out of the top of her head again ever. Well, it practically never popped up there again, excepting occasionally, just now and then. Ting! And after all, I'm getting used to it. And that is the end, boys and girls. I hope you enjoyed Daisy Head Mayzie. And I don't know, do you think you'll grow a daisy out of the top of your head? Probably, or probably not. Maybe you could get a flower and do that. Will it grow? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe, maybe not, like that. Pull each petal out and see what the answer is. Don't get one of your mom's flowers out of her flower bed, though. Oh my gosh, you'll be in so much trouble, and so will I. You can go pick out one of those yellow flowers that grow in the ground, the dandelions, and do it with that, okay? You guys have a great day. Peace. I love you.